proven that the Somali daycare scandal is fabricated bullshit. It's now been proven that the Somali daycare scandal is fabricated bullshit.
Hassan showed us security footage from the same day Shirley was here. According to the timestamps in the videos, this woman takes a young child into the center at around 9 a.m. that day, about 3 hours before Shirley arrives at the door closer to the street. Within the hour after Shirley leaves, a woman arrives at the other door with a stroller. Tuesday afternoon, WCCO found at least a dozen children at ABC Learning Center. Records show Minnesota officials last visited the daycare in November, noting some corrected and ongoing violations related to day-to-day operations, but no record of fraud.
When the media visited these Somali daycare centers in Minneapolis, they were shown time-stamped security footage of people dropping their children off. Every part of Nick Shirley's video falls apart under scrutiny. But now a scarier thing is happening.
2 p.m. This place is open. It closes at around 4:30. We're going to try and buzz one more time to see if anybody opens up. Okay, so nobody's going to open. Okay, another entrance. Gonna knock again.
Now every wannabe grifter influencer is going up to daycare centers and just banging on the fucking door. Because what the fuck is wrong with you? For the record, Nick Shirley is the same guy who went to CCOT, aka the El Salvadorian death camps, and went inside and made a YouTube video showing how great they were. He's also the same guy who went to Ukraine and made a video pretending that there was no war going on with Russia. It's a bullshit story. It's very easily debunked. The Trump administration is going to repeat these baseless claims again and again and again because they know that their followers are stupid enough to believe it. Are you stupid enough to believe it? Prove me wrong in the comments.
Narrative that Saddam Hussein faces justice and that we depose him swiftly. Sir, for what reasons are we invading Iraq? Yeah, so many reasons. They have weapons of mass destruction, first off. That's the big one. But also we're bringing democracy to their people and toppling a terrible dictator. If you have any issues with this, ask Congress. They voted for this. This is about freedom and nothing else. Well, we want the stuff. I'm sorry, U.S. forces bombed Venezuela and captured Nicolas Maduro in order to get the stuff. Stuff? Sorry. We like the stuff that they have and we want to have it. But who will be in charge of the country now? Shit. Us, right? Yeah, us. Because then it's easier for us to have their stuff. If we'll just run the country and we'll just have the stuff. So, yeah. Also, Maduro is bad.
Hello and welcome to the showcast for what it is today. I'm not sure that anybody else is going to be joining me. We weren't actually planning on one today. We were taking another week off. Then some events popped up. Unfortunately, that I just feel like I would, not be too comfortable just not saying anything about it. Primarily just for algorithmic reasons, to be honest, because that's what all this shit is based on these days is algorithms, and it's all an algorithmic battle. And if the algorithm tips in favor of one way or the other, then more likely than makes it more likely that the certain narrative is going to take hold. When in fact, there is a factual accounting of what happened here. And then there is the administration's spin of that event. What I'm referring to is there's been a cold-blooded murder in Minneapolis, Minnesota. All this was precipitated by, what we just saw, that first clip there was about the Somali that hoax. It's a fucking hoax. That Nick Shirley piece of shit deserves the worst things to happen to him. And so does everybody in this administration, to be honest with you. And everybody that did sign up for ICE, they all, fuck them all, man. Fuck them all. They're all evil pieces of shit, scum of the earth, garbage. I don't like dismissing human beings that way, but these people barely qualify for the label. It's all on video, which I don't know if you haven't seen it, go watch it. I mean, I do have it here, but I feel like, I don't know if I should show it. I don't know. It's pretty fucking rough. You don't, you can watch it yourself. I have the name of the victim, which is pretty recent. thing that's come about. The name of the victim is let's see. Well, I had it here. It's in the name of the title. Renee Nicole Good. She's a 37-year-old Minneapolis resident. She had it was certain that this was going to happen. That's the thing. You know, it doesn't make it any better. It doesn't make it any easier whenever it does happen. But this was certainly going to happen. And you know, it's easy to forget, I suppose, because all the shit they've been throwing at the wall to distract us, that this already technically did happen in Chicago. Almost the same thing. You know, almost the same thing. Where that one was pretty clear cut. I feel like this one is even more clear cut. This one is an example of a woman whose car, for, you know, I don't know the reason, even if I'm going to be, you know, maximally charitable to DHS, and why would I be? But let's just say that this woman did park her car a long ways across the street in order to prevent ICE from going anywhere. While they're there in Minneapolis after a 2,000, person surge, 2,000 fucking, stormtrooper surge that they just did. In response, once again, to this fraud that Nick Shirley's video proclaimed. It's not a fraud. The fraud is the video. The fraud is the claim about the fraud. Okay. But so there's a woman, Renee Nicole Good, 37. She had pulled her car long ways across the street to prevent ICE from going anywhere in their efforts to round up brown people. Because as the Supreme Court made clear a while back, they are perfectly within their legal rights, apparently, to persecute people based on their skin color in this effort to immigration reform and mass immigration expulsion. So the woman is then confronted by there's three ICE officers at once are confronting her car. Two of them from one direction, the driver's side door, and then one from the stupidest direction possible, from the front of the vehicle. And he's slowly, walking up to the front of the vehicle as they're telling her to move her car. She backs her car up. You can clearly see this. One of the officers, you have one officer giving her orders to back the car up and leave, right? So she starts doing that. The second officer next to him on the driver's side seems to not want that to be what happens. So you already have just a fucking failure of command structure and control of the situation, which law enforcement officers are supposed to have. How often does that happen? But you have two officers that are right next to each other giving conflicting orders because one of them seems to want to stop the car as she starts to back up and drive away. He comes closer. As she backs up and then starts to drive forward, not in any fucking ridiculous speed or anything like that. The guy in the front who could have just as easily stepped to the side, and he was not in any danger of being hurt if he had just moved. The only way he would be in danger, it's like that fucking Austin Powers joke. Remember Austin Powers whenever the guy's on the other end of the thing and he's like, stop, and they're like way over there, further away on the machinery, and they're driving and they're like going really slow. It's just like that. And she starts to drive away as she was commanded to do. And I'm sure she was a bit confused by the fact that there was the other officer next to the first one that was putting his hand on her window, trying to get her to stop. Okay. The third officer, the one that's directly in front of her, rather than just go, oh, my coworkers told her to drive away, so I should get out of the way. He keeps stepping in front of the vehicle, and then he pulls his gun. Then, as she passes him, he fires into her window. I mean, maybe he squeezes the first one off while she's, while he's in front of the car. I mean, that doesn't make it okay because once again, he's completely in the wrong there. Be where he was. But as she drives away, he then continues firing directly into her window, into her fucking face. He unloads several fucking rounds into her face. All this is on camera. There's no fucking, mistaking what happened here. The administration, DHS, Christie fucking gross face gnome is fucking trying to spin it as this is a domestic terrorist, which we knew they were going to do. We knew they were going to do this. That they were anybody that gets in their way, anybody that gives them any kind of fucking The protests, is going to be considered a domestic terrorist, right? She temporarily, if I'm reading the situation right, she temporarily prevented them from leaving when they wanted to. Then as soon as she was directed to leave, she started to leave. Then they fucking killed her for it. Then, immediately after, because there's video of this as well, a physician was on scene trying to get to her to treat her, which, I mean, probably lost cause. Based on what I saw, it looked like she was just directly shot in the face several times, and there's a slim chance of making it from that. No, she actually did complain. So this is what you get: one and done. This is the rule. You get one and fucking done, piece of shit. One and fucking done. You either know what happened or you can get the fuck out of here, because you're fucking saying lies right now, you fucking garbage human piece of shit. You fucking murder apologists. Okay? You get one fucking wrong fucking comment, and then you just outed yourself as being on the side of fucking ICE, the murder squad, the fucking fascists. You fucking garbage motherfucker. The fuck out of here. Not you. You're welcome. She didn't try to murder anyone. Fucking lying piece of shit. She didn't fucking try to murder one. You're done. You're done. One and done. Bye. Hey, Ryan.
Hello.
Have you managed to see it?
I've not watched it because I don't want to see it, but I've watched the coverage of it.
I'll get to everybody, because that like the reason I'm so pissed with that fucking piece of shit that just was trying to say that she didn't comply with orders. She did, and they were not complying with orders themselves. They were not on the same page about what orders they were giving. You had the first guy saying, "Get out of here, drive away." Another guy directly to the left of him on the driver's side of the car, who seemed to grab her car window as she started to back up and drive away, like he didn't want her to leave. Okay. Then you had a third guy who was walking in front of her vehicle, and instead of like getting out of the way whenever she started to back up, to which she was clearly backing up to drive away, as she started to drive forward and was distracted by the two cops that were fucking giving conflicting orders on her driver's side, he just pulls his gun and starts firing on her as she passed him. He was not hit. She was driving past him. He fired multiple times into her driver's side window, into her face.
It also doesn't matter if she was complying or not.
No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't.
That's not a death sentence. I don't know why people on the right have got this idea that if you don't listen to every word a cop says, you deserve to be murdered.
Well, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. And the thing is like, so that, before we even get to that, I mean, before we get to that, like, the reason I don't fucking care about that as much, I mean, that's obviously relevant, but if you're willing to even misconstrue and convey events differently than what has clearly happened in the video, then fuck off. That's the way I am with that. Like that person that just said,
no, that's fair enough. Because
absolutely. It's not a death sentence to, it shouldn't be, and it's not. But I mean, what I'm pretty confident has happened here is that the Trump administration has ordered them to do this shit. I don't have any evidence of that, but coupled with the other report that came out today from Taylor Lorenz, I don't know if you heard about any of that. We can watch that if you want to, but like, it seems like this is all part of the fucking plan. It's all they're trying to explicitly, they want to trigger libs. Okay, explicitly they want to upset people, confuse people, distract people, and just fuck things up with ICE. There's these leaked chats from within ICE that clearly show that's what they're doing. They have this fucking media machine that's working with, if you ever noticed, have you noticed the increase of virality of videos of ICE operations? That's all intentional. That's explicitly ordered by the government to find cinematic and cool looking fucking shots of some brown person running from ICE or whatever, so that they can fucking, post that. And they're encouraged to quickly edit and upload these videos.
And this is we know this has always been the plan because they've told us, and people ignored them or thought, oh, it's just Trump being Trump. But this has always been the plan. They have said several times now that essentially they consider anyone against them to be a terrorist.
Yeah.
And by calling them a terrorist, they can then do whatever they want. It's their justification of going into Venezuela. It's their current justification for going into Greenland. We've been told, and we've been not listened to.
Well, I mean, I hate to say this, Harrison, but this is just a misunderstanding of what fascism is. I mean, fascism inherently does not value human life. So, I mean, it's, you know, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, like this was really to be expected. And this is everything that I've been trying to fight against for years on my YouTube channel. And because I saw the fucking way the winds were blowing. And I knew that, like, at a certain point, it's going to get to this. And it doesn't change the fact that right now I'm fucking shaken. I'm fucking rattled because I had to watch a fucking woman being murdered. And I'll be honest, I'm not confident that anything's going to fucking change. Not immediately. It's to a point where I'm wondering, what the fuck are we supposed to do? The only thing I can do is fire up fucking, internet and just get on here and say what happened, which is that Renee Nicole Good was murdered by ICE agents. And I have video of it. I'm not going to, inflict that on anybody. If you feel like you can handle that kind of thing, I will say there's no direct shot of her being shot, but I mean, there is a very clear shot of him shooting into her window, her open window, and then the car crashing. Then I think as the video goes on, you do end up seeing some blood, but that's a couple minutes later in the video. What's up?
I would just go a step further and say that your federal government, your government is murdering your citizens now.
Sorry.
And that's what that... Oh, did you hear that?
I didn't hear the last part. Say it again.
Basically, my opinion is that your government is now murdering your citizens.
Yeah, that's what's happening. I mean, that's what's happening with, Trump pausing or canceling all the fucking payments to childcare, that he canceled based on the fucking fraudulent video that Nick Shirley did. The Somali daycare fraud that isn't a real thing.
And the sketches
they're using lives in indirect and indirect ways. They're absolutely killing people for their own agenda. Yeah.
Now it's become direct, and it's become public news, and people will try and deny it. People will say what they always say in these circumstances. You should have complied. No, not a death sentence. She was trying to kill them. No, she wasn't. You can all
so right
watch
here.
the video.
I've got, this actually has any of the more graphic stuff is blurred out in this video, but this is after the incident where a physician who's just kind of like a civilian physician is trying to render aid, and what happens in that.
Go check a pulse.
No, back up now.
I'm a physician.
Hey, listen, we
understand. We got EMS coming, and I get it. Just give us a second.
We have medics on scene. We have our own medics.
Where are they? Where are they? How can I relax? You just killed my neighbor. You caught your butter in the face. You killed my neighbor. How do you show up to work every day? How the do you do this every day?
So there you had a physician trying to render aid. In any other context, I feel like would be allowed to do so.
100%. We've all seen it. Somebody says they're a doctor, they're let through, but they don't care. These ICE agents, they've been selected because they don't care about...
McLeod, I'm going to get pissed at you for acting like you're the only one that fucking notices things going on here, you fucking idiot, dude. I'm tired of you fucking showing up here and acting like you're the only motherfucker that recognizes what's been happening here. You've been doing it for fucking years on my channel, acting like your fucking smug ass is the only one that recognizes shit. What the fuck do you think I've been doing this for, man? Yeah, I'm fucking pissed at you right now. Fucking get over your fucking self. You're not any fucking smarter, more observant than anybody, all right?
Plenty of people have been saying this for years. People have been saying it a lot more since he retook office, but up until now, I've always been optimistic that there's a way back.
Yeah, that's really the difference. Is that our country's been fucking gone since the first administration, and then there was a slight reprieve, even though increasingly concerning during Biden's administration, whenever charges weren't fucking filed for certain things. Oh no, this, and then you start to see that as Trump's goddamn his all the charges were filed, the ones that were filed against him, and the nothing seemed to happen, nothing seemed to stick. And then you see that he still has all the support that he has, and you saw the fucking January 6th hearings come to nothing. All that stuff started to concern me again, and even got to the point, you know, where I had more hope that honestly I didn't think that he could quite pull it off. I didn't think he could quite pull it off in the 2024 election over Kamala. I was mistaken. He didn't win by a landslide, despite what they want you to think. It was within the margins of what often elections have been. But yeah, these are evil, fucking sinister people and forces at work. And I don't even like to speak like this because I'm an atheist. I don't believe that they're just like evil spirits and evil demon possessed, people or whatever. No, these are just people. Evil is just people. Evil is stupid and fearful. That's what evil is. You combine stupidity with fucking just irrational fear, and you get evil. That's what I've learned doing the Fapcast. That's what I've learned doing this content. I used to not even believe necessarily in the concept of just evil. Now I do, because evil is an effect. Evil is the effect of fear and stupidity commingling and gaining power.
And the fact that they're trying now to claim that America has a justification to invade any country they want, if that country has something they need, should terrify you, because that is Nazi shit. That's exactly how World War II started. Because Hitler was making claims that this land belongs to us, so we're going to take it. And nobody did anything until he went too far. And we're at the start of that period of history. So anybody that claims, "Oh no, you shouldn't call Trump a Nazi because it stirs up whatever," he is.
Yeah, he is. I mean,
and we've been saying it for a long time. But how many things does he have to do? How long does the list have to grow before people start admitting it? And there's going to be people who won't admit it ever.
Yeah, there'd be people that could literally just start wearing the same exact uniforms and shit that that the Nazis wore and stuff like that, and they still would be like, no. There is let's see. Something I wanted to related to what you were just saying that I'd like to point out that yeah, so Kyle Kalinske covered the Venezuela thing pretty well, has been covering it pretty well, and he's been covering it in ways that you're not going to see mainstream media covering. And I don't mean that in like a mainstream media is bad, but I mean, you don't want to just have that be your only media diet for sure. But like, so he did a video the other day that was like the real, some hidden reasons for why Trump invaded Venezuela. And there's a couple of other aspects that aren't as obvious that at play, like the fact that they have lots of iron ore. It's not just oil; they have iron ore.
There was an interesting call into the majority report about the oil, and this was from an oil technician who says not only is the oil quality there not the same as it is in America, so it's a lot harder to refine. But also,
and the infrastructure is shit.
Well, yeah, there's that too. The infrastructure is rusting, but also America has been overproducing oil since Biden, and so if they produce more oil from Venezuela, if they invest all this money, and the price of oil goes down further, it's going to basically kill the oil industry because they won't make any money off it. I know that sounds silly, but
I want to point out too that there was another incident just not 5 days ago. It was reported there was an ICE agent that sexually abused a detainee for 3 straight months.
Yep.
I mean, so I want to play a little bit of this video. I actually have to go for a few minutes to go talk to my son because he just got home from school a minute ago and deal with that. Not a big deal. Just want to say hi to my son. So I'm just going to play this video for a few minutes while I go do that. If that's okay.
The secret, actual reason why Trump did what he did in Venezuela. waged an illegal war, a regime change operation. Obviously interested in the natural resources, obviously interested in getting a tremendous amount of wealth for the billionaire class that got him elected in this country. But let me walk through this for you guys and give you the specifics, because there's a lot of interesting secret parts of this that are coming to light. So first, let's start with this. Let me give you the overall breakdown as to what exactly went down. As you all know, they went in there and basically kidnapped or abducted President Maduro. They brought him to the United States. They're talking about how he's going to stand trial. Right off the jump here, let me just say that's very weird because, by that logic, does China have the right to kidnap a U.S. president and try them in their system? It really makes a mockery of the international law system. And also, simply put, there's not enough evidence to convict him of anything. The indictment, I read through some of the indictment. It's a total fucking joke. So if what happens is not, if it's a show trial, then maybe they'll actually, convict him or whatever. But if they actually give a shit about the law and follow the law, he's going to get off. And then what happens? Like, what are you going to put him back as president of Venezuela? Of course, they're not going to do that. But it just goes to show you we're in uncharted waters here, man. This is sort of crazy. What's their actual plan? You kidnap the president, and then what? So, of course, there's this woman, Maria Corina Machado, who's the opposition leader, who has been going around. Basically, she begged Netanyahu to overthrow Maduro for her. She got the Nobel Peace Prize and then dedicated it to Trump. There's been a lot of weird stuff around. She's openly telling U.S. oil companies, I'm going to make you wealthy. By the way, 91% of Venezuelans disapprove of her. She's not popular, has zero mandate whatsoever. Very weird. Reminds me of Juan Guaido in the first term, this guy that Trump just pretended was president of Venezuela. Republicans pretended was president of Venezuela. He wasn't. But they brought him to UN events and NATO events and acted. But anyway, that all imploded because the coup attempt failed in the first term. Okay, so then, as I said, well, what's the plan then? If you're not going to install this puppet leader, now you kidnapped Maduro. Well, who's the acting person in control of Venezuela? Well, it would be the VP. Having said all that, let me walk you through this. Daniel DePetris is a syndicated foreign affairs columnist for the Chicago Tribune, and he has a great thread on this. So he says the following. Compared to Maduro's capture, which was short and sharp, Trump's day after plan for Venezuela is bumbling and confusing. Rubio's TV hits didn't clear anything up, which suggests two things. Number one, the administration is keeping its cards close, or number two, it's still working on it. As far as I can see, the Trump administration is choosing to be a bit pragmatic. Work with somebody within the existing Venezuelan system rather than place your chips on Machado, who never really had a post-Maduro plan either and would likely be rejected by the Venezuelan army anyway. That's an important point. So not only does she not have the mandate of the people, there's no way the army would submit to her being the leader. So that could, make the country go to civil war effectively. All right, more. That's probably the right call. Installing Machado and Gonzalez would require the U.S. to overthrow the entire Chavismo system, which would require an extreme monetary commitment with extensive manpower over an undefined time frame and with the possibility of violence. Whether this play will work, I couldn't tell you. The U.S. is attempting to transform Venezuela into a pro-U.S. petrostate, working with the very same people who not only vomit at this scenario, but have sustained Chavismo for 2 decades. That's a pretty heavy lift to pull off. The Trump administration is giving Delcy Rodriguez a chance to prove her worth. It sounds to me that Delcy Rodriguez...
I'm back, by the way. I want to say that I've been trying to avoid using the phrase mainstream media and instead replace it with corporate media. Because I feel like, there's a lot of stuff that's popular enough now that's mainstream to a degree that isn't necessarily corporate. Like Kyle Kalinski's pretty popular, not corporate.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's also a difficult one because as bad as the corporate media are, they also are sometimes good. And so...
Oh, wait. Well, you're telling one of my fucking admins to piss off, McLeod? Why don't you piss off? I'm going to put you in timeout. I'm going to give you a chance to fucking get control of your goddamn self, dude. Get your fucking ego in check or whatever you got going on. That's your problem. Get it? All right. So... there's all this. Probably pretty well known by now, but then look at. So this gets into the nitty gritty of the actual oil and the differences.
So incredible stuff. Now let me give you some more. So this is a piece in Sky News, and Sky News explains how at the core of what's going on here is the oil. It's about the oil. Now, you hear a lot of people in the U.S. go, well, we already have enough oil. We don't need their oil, so this has nothing to do with oil. This is what you'll hear from neocons who are playing hide the ball, imperialists who are playing hide the ball, or people who don't know any better and are convinced by, propaganda. But the bottom line is, the kind of oil we have here, we have, shale natural gas is what we have here, that we get it through fracking. We don't have the heavy crude oil. Now, heavy crude oil, you need that kind of oil to make oil for jet fuel, to make oil, to make asphalt, for example. That's where you use it. And so we can't get that out of the kind of gas we have here. Okay. And the other thing is, we have a whole bunch of these refineries in this country that process this sort of heavy crude oil, right? And if we don't get more of it, those refineries go under, and we need to spend like billions of dollars to refit those to work with shale, for example. And so we want to keep feeding these refineries. And so this is one of the reasons why they want to take the oil from Venezuela. Now we get most of our heavy crude from Canada, but the largest oil reserve in the world is in Venezuela. So this absolutely has to do with the oil. Sky News does not mince words on that point. Let's watch some of this here.
Here are some of the refineries. There's one in LA there. These are the 10 biggest. You've got some up here around kind of towards Canada. We'll kind of come to that in a second. But a lot of them are down there, kind of Texas, Louisiana, on the coast.
That is literally where I'm from. Those refineries are the backdrop of my childhood. There's a lot of them, as you can tell. I mean, those are not representative of how many refineries there actually are. There's probably 10 to 20 different plants per icon there on the map.
And here's the critical thing. These refineries are primarily set up for heavy oil, for taking that gloopy stuff and turning it into gasoline and all of the other different products. But here's where things get interesting. And remember that chart I showed you a moment ago, the one which showed kind of shale oil and how it kind of went through the roof? The oil that's generally produced with shale oil, the fracking oil, that comes out of the ground mostly in the light form. So it's the smoothie. It's sometimes actually even clear. It comes out of the ground clear rather than black. And that's the majority of American production right now. Shale oil tends to be light stuff. And actually that's kind of going back 10 years. Look at where we are now. Look at those bars. In the last few years, the amount of light oil being produced in the US has gone up and up and up, and the amount of kind of heavy stuff has gone down. But back to those refineries. They need to be fed. If America's going to have gasoline, it needs to feed those refineries with heavy oil. So if you look at the kind of imports coming into America in recent years, even though America is producing so much oil, more oil than it ever produced before, it still needs to suck in loads of oil from overseas. And the type of oil we're talking about, it used to be, it's mostly heavy crude. It used to be only 12%. So only 12% of imports were heavy, gloopy crude. Now, it's about 70%. So 70% of the oil coming into America, which it needs to basically keep its economy going, is heavy crude. And where does heavy crude come from? Well, here are some of the big countries where you find most of it. It's Canada and Venezuela. There's one other I'll come to in a second, which we'll come back to. But it's Canada and it's Venezuela where you get most of it.
That's where some nuance gets lost there whenever we're talking about, and I don't agree with the way Kyle phrased it as far as like people just repeating propaganda. It's easy to not know the details of this stuff until you learn it.
It's an incredibly complicated issue, and even so, unless you're in the field, I wouldn't expect you to be an expert.
Right. But, hopefully people are becoming more of armchair experts on this now so they can understand the difference of, so the idea that like, well, we can make our own oil so we don't need oil it's not nearly as simple as that. We do need their oil because, they have the kind of oil that theoretically we do need, except that it is also it much harder to refine. And it's also much harder to get out of the ground whenever the fucking infrastructure is rotting as it is in Venezuela.
And it's hard to get out of the ground as well because of its thickness. So it really is.
Yep.
It's difficult oil, which means it's expensive to get out the ground. And also, the more oil you produce, the cheaper it becomes, which is not good for the people who produce it. So, as I said, I mean, I don't know if you guys, but I remember doing fractional distillation in school, and basically all the heavy crude that they will produce that will go to be used for things like asphalt and things like that will also produce gasoline, diesel fuel, and regular car fuel. So it's not a case of you take the oil and you make one thing out of it. You separate it and you get all the things out of it. So if what the oil companies will want to do, if they do want to go in there and spend a fortune on the infrastructure, is they will want to limit the supply anyway. So gas prices will not go down as a result of this.
You know, and real quick, Saigon, the thing that you were very much making a miscalculation on is how much Trump is a cult figure. That's why, despite the fact that he's clearly dying, like, I mean, he's clearly fucking not going to be around much longer. He's got some severe health problems. What I think has probably happened is he's actually taking some Alzheimer's medicine that actually makes him, you know, his blood thinner and things like that. Hence the bruises on his hands. Since the, you know, it does seem that he fucking had a stroke last year. I really feel like that is pretty obvious. But yeah. So I mean, Trump's not doing well, but they're still parading him around like Weekend at fucking Bernie's because, you know, if you notice, he doesn't do that many public speeches anymore. He doesn't do them after basically after daylight hours at all. And yeah, once he's gone, man, it is going to be difficult for them to keep because yeah, if you haven't gone around and looked at certain people, you know, the MAGA voters, how they talk, it is just so much built around him as a human being, as if you want to call him that, as a personality rather. And what they feel like he represents as an individual. So to, you know, yeah, to try and act like they can just like map that onto JD Vance or Stephen Miller or whatever, I just don't think that that's really the case. Not to say that it's not a risk, not to say that's not possible, but it's just very unlikely. And they haven't really started ingratiating those people, you know, as far as I can tell. Maybe they have. Maybe MAGA voters are already starting to map onto somebody else. Who knows?
And that's why we're seeing this escalation now.
Yes, that's exactly what, yeah, this goes hand in hand with that, is they're trying to distract from the fact that you know, and they're going to keep doing this. You had just not even a week ago, now you had you know, literally a week ago we invaded Venezuela, took their fucking president out of there. For what reason? No reason whatsoever discernible, because the regime is still in place. This is not a regime change because they didn't change the regime. You know, and then yeah, it's bizarre. But
and the one glimmer of hope I would offer is that they're still scared of the midterms. Whether we get there is another question, but they're still terrified that they're going to lose the midterms, which means that they're going to escalate even more. It's going to get worse before it gets better. So the next 9 months or so is going to be rough.
Yeah. So I mean,
but it's not over. It's just what they do between now and the midterms. And once he's gone, it'll be over.
Lots of people. He's getting his ideas from whoever fucking pays him, basically. Whoever, you know, he's the same people that give him money or giving him ideas. But I mean, that's beside the point. You can't, if those people were able to just, you know, enact their wishes, they would have done it without Trump.
Yeah,
you know?
It wasn't his idea to invade Greenland. It wasn't his idea to invade Canada. It wasn't his idea to invade Venezuela. These are all things he's been fed.
So yeah, the people he's getting his ideas from are people like Peter Thiel, almost, you know, first and foremost. Peter Thiel, but also Elon Musk. And we're going to, in this video, this Kyle Kulinski video, I really want you guys to stick around and listen to this, because this is a big deal. And it's going to maybe explain some of this stuff that we're still unclear about. Yeah, they'll still be with us, but that doesn't mean if they had the ability to enact their wishes without Trump, they would do that. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? That's what I'm saying. Now fucking onboard that information in your brain.
Yeah, nobody wants to be around Stephen Miller apart from Trump. He's a creepy, evil weirdo that nobody likes. And
so let's, you know what? Let's just go ahead and get to this part here, because this is yeah.
By the way, let's all
Project 2025. And you know what happened to the Heritage Foundation? Do you want me to show you? Let me show you. Let's look at the Heritage Foundation. What's been going on with them? Because in case anybody's not familiar with what happened in the last couple of weeks with the Heritage Foundation, they have collapsed. They collapsed in on itself. Almost every single one of its major fucking, you know, wonks and you know, shills that were part of the Heritage Foundation left. They left because of the anti-Semitism, because of the guy that's the head of Heritage Foundation would not fucking denounce Tucker Carlson and his, you know, having Nick Fuentes on his show. So you got a bunch of people that were part of Heritage Foundation who, believe it or not, actually did see themselves as not anti-Semites and actually are patriots or whatever, you know, however we want to agree with that or not. These people saw themselves as different than what MAGA has become, right? And so they finally had too much and they fucking left, and they went and joined Mike Pence's fucking think tank. Okay. So Mike Pence now has a think tank that's very at odds with the ideas of the MAGA think tank, the Heritage Foundation think tank. So
I can tell you now, if any one of the guys that is the puppeting Trump thought that they had what it takes to be president, as far as public opinion, they would be president now, not Trump. Stephen Miller would absolutely be in that chair if he thought there was any way that anybody would vote for him. But nobody would, because like I said, he's a creepy weirdo. And people know that.
So here is from, I'll just show you the list of news stories here. December 22nd, Heritage Foundation losing top officials to Mike Pence. 22nd, Heritage Foundation blows up. 23rd, lessons of the Heritage Foundation's implosion. Heritage ousts 2 staffers as more scholars flee to Mike Pence. Just over and over again. Here's where the beginning of it was in November. Heritage must choose moral clarity or moral collapse. Well, they chose collapse. Heritage Foundation implodes. Okay. How about not fascism? That's a start. But I mean, there's plenty. If you are you paying attention to politics, Saigon? Do you have any fucking any skin in this game at all? Are you paying attention? Because it's not up to me to explain to you what the Democratic platform is and should be. There are plenty of things. Will they step up in the ways that they should? Probably not. But in some ways they might. We just have to kind of see what's going to happen, and we have to encourage that to happen.
And I would
answers here, man.
I would say the heads of the Democratic Party are not performing at their best at the moment, and they've been weak somehow since Kamala lost, which is bizarre because they've been around long enough to know that when one election fails, you carry on. But you've got the shining figures within the Democratic Party, and
the lessons of what they need to offer are out there. You look at Zoran Mamdani's win. You look at all of the wins that we've had, the off-year wins that we've had. Of course, it's concerned. They're fucking corporate controlled to a great degree. But they also still want to win, presumably.
This is why you need to pressure those Dems in any way that works, basically. So if your local representatives aren't fighting enough, call them, write them, email them, do whatever it takes on that side. Get other people to do the same.
They're working it out right now because look, just 21 hours ago, Democrat Iris Sanchez wins over Republican Jamie Vaughn. Almost 100% of elections that have taken place in the last few months have been Democrat wins. Then you have Republicans just dying off. One guy just died off in California, I think. And so that leaves his seat open. He's been in there for I don't know how many terms he was in office, but that leaves the seat open for contestable. It's impossible to say we're going to win. We have 100% confidence we're going to win and everything's going to go our way. No, but that's not the way of the world. But I do want to get to this final part of this video, which is exactly relevant to what we've been talking about with the people influencing Trump and what their ultimate end game seems to be. If you're familiar at all with Curtis Yarvin, and I've covered him, I've covered the Dark Enlightenment fucks. Curtis Yarvin is a alleged thinker, smart person who the right tends to latch their hopes and dreams onto, who believes that we need to just basically have a techno monarchy. We need to go to this techno feudalism kind of system where it's divided up. The states become divided up in not in terms of states or actual governments, but Peter Thiel would theoretically be the lord over some region, and whatever he decides goes, right? And so on and so forth. Billionaires in charge of corporations that then oversee some region, and means that people don't have rights, and they become literal slaves to the system. So with that in mind.
Also, just be direct here. Much better dancer than Trump. Much better dancer than Trump, without a doubt. All right, but it gets crazier. Ready? The Venezuelan situation goes well beyond oil and gas. Venezuela currently holds an estimated 4 billion tons of iron ore reserves. The reasons. And this is the one that you're not going to hear many people bring up, but I'm going to bring it up here for you. So Jim Stewartson has written about this in the past. He says, just after the Trump regime invaded Venezuela and captured its president, Stephen Miller's wife, Katie, who works for Elon Musk, tweeted a threat to Greenland, which is the territory of Denmark, a NATO nation. A few hours later, Musk and Trump had dinner together for the first time since Musk said Trump was in the Epstein files. I believe the time...
Now, let's think about that. The last time Trump and Musk were cool with each other was just before Musk left, or left Doge or whatever, and it shut down. And he actually said straight up in a tweet that Trump was in the Epstein files. He was all over the Epstein files.
Maybe the only time he's told the truth, which is funny because he then recanted it. So,
and now there was a photo that came out right after the Venezuela thing, the same day, I think, where they were having dinner together. Weird. Why do you think that is? Well, here's why.
The timing of this reunion is no coincidence. While there are numerous toxic winds flowing through this regime, the foreign policy all fits into a plan from the 1930s by Technocracy Inc., a fascist movement.
Technocracy, you can look this up on Wikipedia. This is not a fucking conspiracy theory. This is an idea that was seriously bandied about in the 1930s, leading up to which I guess this World War II kind of put a fucking cinch in that plan, but people's kept it alive, and at least mentally, at least in back channels and back rooms and stuff. But
calling for the elimination of democracy in favor of rule by technocrats. The technocrats, by the way, being the AI billionaires, the AI robber barons. Technocracy's charter included the creation of a super state called the Technate of America, spanning from Greenland to Venezuela. Technocracy was led in Canada by Joshua Haldeman, Elon Musk's grandfather, a vicious racist who moved his family to apartheid South Africa in 1950. Many of Musk's beliefs are simply passed down directly through his family, including, it appears, the idea of creating a technate. To Musk, Trump is just a malleable puppet in a much bigger game. Venezuela is only the beginning. And then so here you have Jim Stewartson post the original map of technocracy, the technate states. And as you can see, it includes Venezuela, it includes all of Mexico, it includes Panama, it includes Greenland.
You want to know the fucking craziest thing here is that Alex Jones has always been right. When you think about it, he's always been right, except now he's on the side of the thing that he's always said that he was against. He was always wrong about who was responsible for it, who was really planning on the shit. But like at the core of what he was saying, of his claims about one world government, all this stuff, essentially, more or less the details are different. Sure, one world government is a bit broad for what this is, but like this is basically what he claimed to be fighting against all those years, right? And here he is now. He's actually fucking defending Trump from being in the pedophile files, the pedophile files. Sorry, yeah, and it's just fucking crazy. It's crazy. But you notice Greenland is part of this. The entire Western Hemisphere is the goal.
It includes Cuba. So look, don't take my word for it. You can go and read about it. You can even just check out the Wikipedia page. Technocracy, or the Technate States, right? What is the technocracy movement, or the Technate States? And the idea was create a super state where the U.S. controls much, much more territory, end democracy, and let oligarch billionaires effectively have their own little corporate fiefdoms, where you're a slave peasant to them in these little corporate fiefdoms. You don't have the right to vote. You don't have rights, period. And we have people like Peter Thiel who are creating a mass surveillance database, who are spying on all of us. He wants to be one of the heads of the Technate States, right? He wants to be basically a CEO overlord. This also ties in with Curtis Yarvin. Curtis Yarvin's idea, he calls it the Dark Enlightenment. He talks about rage, R-A-G-E.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously, like I said, it's not all this exactly the same, but I mean, the broad strokes are exactly what he was saying. Not like I said, who he was saying was responsible is not true. Who he's saying was behind this was not the case. It's like he was pointing out the real thing broadly, and then pointing to the other parties that weren't responsible for, or weren't going to be, the ones pushing for this, as a way of like, basically by convincing, most of the population, myself included, has for the longest time, like, Alex Jones is fucking crazy. The shit that he's fucking saying is crazy. That's not even fucking realistic. Never mind the racism and the anti-Semitism inherent to it. Just the broad strokes of it seemed fucking insane. But yeah. And hopefully this does become, hopefully we look back on this and go, God damn, I can't believe you and Kyle Kalinske fucking gave any fucking weight to that being true. That so obviously didn't happen and isn't going to happen. And I'd be like, yeah, man, I fucking feel like a fool. But at the same time, I'm glad that I fucking said something, because, it started to seem that way, like, I'm not trying to point to a conspiracy theory or say this is absolutely going to happen. I'm just saying that the fucking things look fucked up from this perspective. And when you think about the AI bubble that we are currently in, massive AI bubble. Some people say that's 3 bubbles in one. It's clear to everybody that this AI thing is not what they've made it out to be, right? It's not. and it's not going to be for a long time. It is essentially, as AI engineers have come out and said, that whistleblowers types, they're like, this is essentially just the next version of Google. You know, that's all it is. The ChatGPT and all that shit is just the next evolution of fucking Google. It's not really artificial intelligence of any kind. You know, and
in fact, it's AI is exactly the thing that the right have been complaining that universities are. That people are just being indoctrinated to regurgitate information without thinking about it. That's what AI does. It regurgitates information without thinking about it.
Yep.
And if you listen to it, then you've been indoctrinated by it. So, again, all of the things that they say are evil. They're all coming from their side. And to comment on your point about you and Kyle being wrong on this, the way I think of it is how if you remember back to the Millennium Bug, we were warned that this catastrophe would happen, and then it didn't happen. And some people say, "Oh, look, we were worrying over nothing. It didn't happen. There's no problem at all." The reason it didn't happen
because a lot of people fucking got onto a lot of fucking, people took it somewhat seriously and started, reinforcing computer programs to not fall victim to it if it did happen.
Yep, exactly. So people took it seriously and worked damn hard to stop it from causing any problems that it might have caused. And that's where I want to be. I'd rather be in a position where, however long from now, we say, "Oh, look, weren't we silly to worry about this thing and have prevented it?" Than to say, "Oh, yeah, I guess you were right. Oh well, I'll go back."
I mean, I would much rather fucking on my deathbed, people still calling me a fool for ever fucking, giving any air to this fucking bullshit, than actually to have it happen.
It's to bring it back a bit into our realm. It's a bit like that Booster Gold run they did.
Oh, I haven't read it, but I mean, I know he's from the future and he's trying to like prevent a future that's, it's actually, you can talk about that one. There's actually a pretty recent Cable run from post Krakoan era X-Men, where Cable, from the old Cable and the younger Cable that was around for a while, they team up and they have to stop this thing called the Technarchy. The Technarchy. Okay, how close it is, and it's, I mean, and what it is literally, it actually is AI that becomes sentient and then causes everybody to transcend their human form and become basically these energy beings. But what that does in the process is, it allures everybody because, like, oh, you'll be free of physical ailments and we'll all be one. But what it does is it literally eliminates any individuality, and everybody just becomes part of the same fucking collective. And so Cable are trying to prevent that from coming to pass.
Well, the twist in the Booster Gold run I was talking about is that to everybody else, the reason he seems such a foolish clown is because he has to use his future knowledge to prevent these disasters, and in doing so, each one makes him look like an idiot. So the reason he's sort of always looked like he's a bumbling fool is
because he's successful at making things happen.
Yes, it's because that's the price he pays. Yeah, it's
that's narratively rich right there.
Yeah,
I need to check out some Booster Gold. I've decided that. So,
but yeah, we're in the worst parts of sci-fi dystopias here. This is the Borg wanting to
where you've got a bunch of completely gullible fucking fools that do not value human life or reason, who are perfectly willing to usher in the very thing that they should be and in theory are trying to prevent, but they're the ones that are going to fucking usher it in. And meanwhile, you've got reasonable, human-minded people, that are being made to look like Luddites and fucking irrational people, being like, "Hey, man, this is actually not good for really anything, and it's kind of a scam. And these billionaires are going to fucking rob us blind. They're already robbing us blind. They're going to fucking take everything that this country and any economy willing to buy in. They're going to take everything they're worth and leave us all with fucking nothing. And then they're going to be." We'll be in no position to stop them from being our fucking overlords.
In fact, if I can take you to task about use of the word Luddite, even, not seriously, but the actual Luddites, the reason they were smashing up all this new machinery wasn't because
it was going to take all the jobs.
Yes, it was taking their jobs. They were fighting back against this new system, which were taking their jobs away with no concern as to how they would support their families or earn a living. They were literally going to die because these new machines could do what they did quicker, and they were normal working people. They were the working class rising up, and by making Luddite a kind of slur for anybody who rejects technology, it's like the corporate overlords have foisted that upon us.
They're all building fucking bunkers, and I'm actually, what the thing, you might see me kind of take a dip off of the internet for a while, because I have a project that I really feel I need to work on that kind of puts a lot of the pieces, a lot of these dots together as best I can. And I want to take it seriously, and so that might imply that I don't do many streams anymore for a while. I haven't been doing uploads really anyway. This channel, Actual Fandom's, kind of like dead in the water as it is. But there's a video project I feel like I need to make, and it's gonna be the video equivalent of, like, Charlie at the fucking board with all the Bebe Silva. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that Luddites, I mean, I understood this, but I know the history of the Luddites. I've talked about them before, I think, on the Fatcast, but, like, yeah, I mean, I still was using the colloquial term, which is the one that
I
associated with them because of probably capitalists made it seem like that.
That was my semi-serious sort of chiding of you, but yeah, no, I would use the word as well because everybody understands what it means. But I think people need to also know that it comes with an asterisk, as did all of the working class political movements around the Industrial Revolution.
So yeah, if you're watching this and you you value your future on this planet, I recommend looking into the Technate, the what is it, the Technate states, the psychological war against democracy. You can look it up on Wikipedia. It's there. Real names, real people. Literally Elon Musk's grandfather. Okay, like, I don't think that's a coincidence. You look the shit up and look into it and start paying attention to these threads, these threads where they're dangling, because they are not as I would have liked to believe up until even like a year ago. I would have liked to believe these threads were not connected. Because it seems crazy to start to put them together.
I have to wonder, I know they reject themes generally as a rule, but what did the chuds think the Terminator films were about? The first two are not exactly opaque in their subtext.
I think they're just stupid. I think we really are just, like I said earlier, I think that evil is essentially the answer to the equation, stupid plus fearful plus power. And and that's where we're at, is we've had stupid, fearful people get power, and this is where it's leading. I'm done trying to fucking understand where they're coming from. I'm done, because right now, as I want to say again, her name is Renee Nicole Good, and she was a civilian in Minneapolis, murdered in cold blood by ICE. And the administration immediately began to frame it as if she's a fucking domestic terrorist. Okay, don't let them.
Which means they could do the same to any one of you. Yep. And they would.
And they will. And I mean, I do have to get going. I didn't want to stream too long today anyway. I just want to kind of get online and contribute my bit to the algorithm, because once again, that's what it's all about. We're in an algorithm war, and yeah. So if you have any platform for making content, I recommend you do the same. Even if it's not necessarily what your content typically is, find a way to mention it. Because it all, as hopefully if you've been watching this channel, or any of the satellites of folks around me, that you recognize this stuff as it's connected. It all matters to the other parts of it. So yeah, say something. Even if it's just a tweet or whatever. I don't know. Maybe not, because I'm remembering now that I just saw a post earlier that's saying that, remember that all of your Blue Sky posts and everything, or even if you delete it, it's gonna still be archived, and that the government has access to that and stuff. So I don't know. You make a choice based on your best guess. So, but they did definitely murder Renee Good, and it's not going to be the last one, unfortunately. So, subscribe to Nothing But Media, because if you're looking to get away from this kind of stuff just for a little bit, go watch some of his content. Dude just comes at media analysis from the most reasonable, and not just reasonable, but passionate. There's a passion involved there. I mean, it's not this cynical bullshit that you see. Even people that aren't on the right are pretty cynical with how they talk about media sometimes. Not Ryan. That's not how he does it. So
I would say, linking into what we've been talking about, there is a Rockford review that where they actually dealt with this in the mid-70s. The house on Willis Avenue. If you check out my review of that, it's 20 minutes long. Basically, a private corporation is setting up a computer system to monitor every person in the United States and have all their details, and then sell it off to foreign and domestic governments.
oh, thank God that's not realistic. Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, that was 50 years ago that was identified as a problem, and at the time it was probably laughed at because computers were not what they are now, but it really needs to be taken seriously.
Indeed. Yeah. So I'm gonna get off of here and go hang out with my kiddo and talk to the missus and stuff like that. And yeah. Give me 1 second here. I gotta fix it, the outro video here. But yeah, I saw you on Ant's stream last night.
Yes, yeah. I was lucky enough to join him to talk about the Critical Drinkers terrible video about Doomsday.
Oh yeah.
He's repeating himself, and it's becoming more obvious. He said something in that video that he said pretty much exactly the same thing in his Supergirl review.
I mean, I saw that he called the Carly and the Flag Smashers domestic terrorists.
Yes, he did, but he praised the first two Thor films for being sincere in what they were trying to do, and in the Supergirl review, he praised Zack Snyder for being sincere in what he was trying to do.
Oh my God!
He basically uses the phrase for both of them. At least they were sincere, which appears to be his new sort of catchphrase. So, well,
because it's an obfuscating term that his audience is not going to think twice about, because they think, everybody has their idea of what sincerity is, especially when it comes to media analysis. We might, you and I might have different vibes of what sincere is when it comes to the same movie. You know what I mean? So that's how that benefits him, is everybody thinks they have the same idea when very likely they could be thinking different things. So,
well, not only that, but it's also a good way of saying, look, I know you thought those films were bad, but they weren't as bad as they are now.
Yeah.
You thought The Dark World was
literally going with Thor: The Dark World is a fucking example of something that's a good movie compared to
Thor: The Dark World and all of Zack Snyder's films.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So
all right. Well, you guys have a good one, and thank you for being here. Rest in peace, Renee. Let's not forget her name. Repeat that. Absolutely.
Do stay positive. Purely because the fight isn't over until it's over.
That's true. And but yeah, I'm not going to give up. So,
yep, as Sean Connery says in The Untouchables, don't stop fighting until the fight is done.
Damn straight. Peace, y'all.
I don't believe him based on things that I have seen on his channel. That's it.
Way.
Yeah, to whom? He has sold out to big anti-woke.
I know that was meant to be sarcastic, but that's it. You nailed it. You accidentally, unironically fucking nailed it, dude.
Cynical man, I might say, snake oil floods the feed with half thoughts and cliches, and the oldest lie, a million marks repeating your catchphrase and your lines. It's chaos by design. Go on, old man, get the bag, watch the tension rise.